Hello and welcome back to Media7 for 2012. I'm Russell Brown. Secret cameras, roadblocks, helicopters and more than 70 police and armed defender squad officers. The arrest of Megaupload founder Kim Dotcom and his associates last week was fairly mega itself. In The Source, Sam Mulgrew looks at what the fuss was all about.
Coatesville alleged mega villain Kim Schmitz/Dotcom. 2 of his companies and 6 executives are charged on 5 counts in a 72-page mega indictment from the District Court of Virginia. In one day, 20 search warrants were carried out in 9 countries. $218 million plus assets were seized. At Coatesville, 18 cars, 45 credit cards and 3 passports were found. In its 6-year run, 180 million people have registered to a mega site, which had 6 million daily users.
It's a hit! It's a hit!
Paid subscriptions and advertising space made Dotcom more than $50 million in 2010 alone. The indictment claims $610 million in harm has been done to copyright holders. But the men were working on a much more interesting project, Megabox, a site where artists upload their work and receive an unprecedented 90% of earnings from downloads. It could kill the middlemen and empower the art we're all fighting to protect.
Sam Mulgrew there. Well, Twitter was abuzz about the raid for hours before mainstream news services reported it. And as Jose Barbosa notes, the eventual news angle was less about the niceties of copyright and extradition law than the lifestyles of the rich and fat.
Free movies, I got free movies.
Can I take 2?
Sure you can take 2, but there's a catch. If you take these movies, this nice woman right here loses her job.
In an attempt to save its business, Hollywood's been coming down hard on the old net. And when the raid on the Crisco mansion went down, it could have been directed by Christopher Nolan on a mega budget.
76 officers raided this mansion in Coatesville at 6:45 this morning, arresting 3 men and another in Orake. 3 other suspects are still at large in other countries. Raids took place around the world.
Exciting stuff, but even more exciting was that Dotcom had left crazy photos and videos of himself all over the internet, just waiting for reporters to gobble up and disgorge over the 6 o'clock news.
There are parties, girls, yachts, Ferraris, girls, oh, and helicopters.
The story was so amazing it spawned the first recorded instance of telepathy between 2 journalists on opposite sides of the world.
Megaupload.com is one of the largest file-sharing websites millions tap into around the world, but not anymore.
Megaupload.com is one of the largest file-sharing websites. Millions of people tap into it around the world, but not anymore.
Kim Dotcom is no stranger to police. He was arrested on insider trading charges back in Germany.
And Kim Dotcom is no stranger to police. He was arrested on insider trading charges back in Germany.
Hackers have launched cyber attacks in retaliation for today's bust, leading to websites like the US Justice Department and FBI being shut down.
Megaupload was what's called a digital locker. Users uploaded files, generating a link other people could use to download the file. The site was used quite legally by millions of people to send big files to each other. The US government claims Megaupload was mainly used as a way to illegally share music and movies, and that Dotcom and others working for the site knew this and did nothing to stop it. In fact, it's claimed they actively encouraged it.
And they've been arrested on warrants relating to breach of copyright offences in the United States, money laundering and racketeering.
At the moment, the Megaupload 4 are appealing extradition to the States, but questions remain around the case. What happens to the legitimate users of Megaupload who've had their business interrupted by the FBI, who shut down the site? How comfortable should we be that the US can seize the assets of a private citizen, all on as yet unproven accusations? And if Kim Dotcom could reportedly make over $100,000 a day utilising online technology, how come the entertainment industry cannot seem to do the same?
I'm joined now by intellectual property lawyer Rick Shearer and blogger and music industry veteran Simon Gregg. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. Now, Rick, as well as this being your area of expertise, you wound up being a reporter. You reported on the scene before anyone else on this. You drove past it on your way into work.
Yes, I live reasonably close to Kim Dotcom in the mansion, and I had heard the story from out of the US in the morning, and I was driving into work, and a significant police presence, put it that way.
And you knew what it was when you saw it?
Yes, I mean, we all know that it's his property, and so seeing the police on every single exit and entrance to his property, 2 and 2 makes 4.
As we noted, there a lot of the mainstream reporting about this case was the girls in the fast cars. There are clearly compelling legal issues here. What stands out for you in this case?
Well, I think there are 3 issues. Of course, there's the extradition issue itself, which is pretty novel for New Zealand. There's the issue around, as the earlier report said, the taking down of the website and the destruction effectively of his business on the basis of allegation alone, and even before he's had a chance to know that they have had a chance to know that the allegations are being made. And the third one, of course, is the juxtaposition of the US copyright law and the New Zealand copyright law, which will have to be worked out in our New Zealand courts for the purposes of the extradition.
What will that take? How long do you think this is going to take to work through?
Well, it's hard.
Just the extradition part?
The extradition part, I would think years. There's a case over in the United Kingdom. There's actually 2 cases, but an earlier case, there's a guy over there who's been accused of copyright infringement and sought to be extradited out. That case has been running for 7 years. So it looks like this has a long way to run, and I would have thought that no matter what happens in the District Court, the High Court, the Court of Appeal, that our Supreme Court is going to want to make a ruling on extradition for these purposes. And
meanwhile, the whole thing's offline. And Simon, you are one of these people who actually legitimately have your own files up on the site.
I'm one of many, many people.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it doesn't really sort of upset me because I've got the things backed up, but you sort of feel as if your rights have been violated a little bit. I use it for a variety of reasons. One is just straight promotional stuff. You put a link up and you say, here's a new album we've got, and send out the link, and people download the thing. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I also use it to put stuff up there for our partners. I'll say, here's some tracks somebody's recorded, you password protected, and send it out to people, and it's there. So we deal with our music publishing partners, for example, in Australia. It's an easy way to do it, rather than sticking it on your own server. But the other thing I've done a few times in the past, I've had people approach me and say, I want to, I'm looking for beats to, for example, a major New Zealand DJ has come to me, a producer, has come to me and said, I'm looking for tracks to take beats off to make records. So I'll throw a few tracks up there and say, well, have a listen to these. Technically that's piracy, I suppose, because I'm throwing the tracks up there, but once he goes to use it, it becomes a track you'll need to clear.
See, this is the interesting thing. I mean, we saw a little bit of the Megaupload song video there, which was released just before this all happened. Kanye West, Snoop Dogg, everyone else uses this. There's something fascinating about it. Isn't it? Yeah, the same industry that's bringing the... You know.
And they're all signed to Universal.
And we almost had Gin Wigmore on there.
Almost, although at the very, very last moment they were pulled off, weren't they? I think there was a lot of sort of fuss happened around that, wasn't there, at the day?
Yeah, there was, yes.
And threats were made, and I've heard all sorts of interesting stories.
It sounds like it was an extraordinary scene. Yes, I've heard those stories too, which we cannot repeat here.
No.
Rick, assuming that we do get past the extradition stage, it by no means stops there, does it? What will the US federal authorities have to prove in order to nail these charges? Because we can surmise as long as we like about the amount of infringing stuff up there. What has to be proved in court?
Well, the debate, and it'll be a debate which is had in New Zealand and in the United States, is around how much knowledge does a provider of a web service, in this case a file locker service, have to have of what their users are doing before they can be criminally liable. Now, those sorts of debates traditionally have been had out in civil cases. There's cases in Australia, the IINet case, which has gone all the way through to the High Court of Australia, cases in the United Kingdom and the States. But it's not been really fought out in a criminal jurisdiction where the standard of proof obviously is higher. They'll have to show beyond a reasonable doubt that he knew that all of these things were infringing, and that he knew that it was actually an infringement. So that's a pretty high threshold to pass.
And Simon, I have to bring this up with you. You're in the interesting position of having stuff. You control some major catalogues of New Zealand music. You've had your own stuff being sold via iTunes, eMusic and Rhapsody in breach of copyright.
Yeah, I have. I've had...
That's ironic.
Randomly searching, I found tracks that I control. And you've gone on there, they're, as you say, all those sites. And the reaction from the individual places I approached, one by one, to have them taken down was interesting. iTunes were great. iTunes said, no problem, bang, off it goes. It went up again, the same person put it up again, so I approached them again and said, no, take it down. And they banned the guy from iTunes. 6 months later, he's back there again, still uploading stuff. He's got, not my stuff, he's got other New Zealand artists' stuff up at the moment. eMusic didn't respond, but they took the stuff down. Rhapsody, it's still there.
Wow. And
Rhapsody is owned, I think, by Sony or CBS, one of the big corporations.
Oh, we keep running across ironies, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sam, in his clip earlier, mentioned Megabox, which some people have regarded as quite significant. This was going to be Megaupload, supposedly
I think it's
legitimate.
a red herring, basically.
Yeah, I do too. The problem there seems to me that whilst there might be enough advertising revenue from these sites to keep Mr. Dotcom fed and happy, it cannot replace sales.
No, absolutely. And there's already a place where you can stick your music up and get maybe not 90%, but 87% or 70 or 80%, you know, a reasonably large chunk of music. And it's called iTunes. If you're an artist, you can go out there and do it yourself already. What the record companies provide and what they take money for, whether they're big record companies or small record companies, is promoting you. And anyone can go out there and put music on legitimate sites already, but you don't sell any music unless you've got the mechanism out there to promote the music.
And you draw up some of these deals, don't you, as part of the work you do?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Are they getting better?
They're getting more and more straightforward, actually. You mean, are the record company contracts getting better?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of fairly hefty arguments going on right now. Eminem's in the process of suing Universal because Universal have treated, and all the record companies have, they've treated sales, digital sales, as singles or album sales. And they pay a royalty of 13, 14% less packaging deductions, which is an old school way of doing it. And Eminem has gone along and said, no, this is a license deal basically. We've licensed it to iTunes and we should split the money 50-50. And it's gone through 2 layers of in the States so far, and both times the courts have sided with Eminem. And if it goes all the way through, it has the ability to cause huge damage to the record companies. It'll cost them billions.
So much of rock and roll seems to be being decided in the courts at the moment.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll pause now and be back after the break with more discussion and one filmmaker's enlightening experience with the Pirates.